live here. Alrighty, welcome to this week's edition of the Business Owners Mastermind Group Call. It's an exciting week, man. So let me, all right, can everybody give me a thumbs up if you can hear my voice and the volume is good? Okay, get the video going here. Why is my webcam? Oh, I guess it would help to uncover the security window there. Just goes to show you don't have to be an expert to do this sort of thing. Okay. Gallery. Right. Welcome. All right. So to reward those that are on time, let's give you guys an opportunity to introduce yourself, introduce your business, who's your perfect client. And that way, when it goes out to the thousands of people on YouTube and all these other places, you can get some recognition for your business. In order to be live on the YouTube channel, you would have to turn on your video. If not, it's no big deal. But let's kick off with first come, first serve, Mr. Dan Knapp.
Good afternoon / morning, whatever it is for you folk out there. I am the owner of Red Hot Media Productions, and I do video production and web design. My perfect client is pretty much any small business that's looking to create marketing or an online presence for themselves.
Fantastic. Welcome to the call. Let's see, who's next? Greg. And you're muted.
And I am a Zoom professional. Just kidding. My name is Greg Vasquez, and I work with Woody or Alan Reeves, and we are in an MSP that we have the franchise rights in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Our perfect client is someone, small business under 10 employees or so that just needs a real solid IT department, but needs a scale and that we can provide the services that they need at a very reasonable subscription price.
Awesome. Welcome to the call. And Mr. Alan Reeves.
So Alan Woody Reeves, owner of Mouse Calls here in Nashville. And basically, exactly what Greg said. However, we also service the traditional B2B 10 employee and up, 10 employee to really 100 employee customer that needs outsourced IT and or cybersecurity services. Ideal client would be someone that recognizes that a business of any size needs a technology budget of some sort. In this day and age, it's not a novelty. It's not a matter of, oh, I've had a ransomware attack and now all my business records going back 20 years are at risk. I better go to Best Buy. You know, that it's not that kind of setup at all. So we provide all kinds of offerings in our stack, from cybersecurity solutions to insurance to identity theft protection to IT support, backup, and security across the board. That's it.
Awesome. Welcome to the call. Sid.
Yeah, my name is Sid Fender, and I'm in Northern California. Our company is called MSJ, Comprehensive Insurance Solutions. Our ideal customer is small business also. In the 20 employees to like 100 employees is kind of our sweet spot. And we really specialize in helping companies lower their payroll taxes and at the same time increasing their employee benefits without any out-of-pocket cost to either the employee or the company. So,
fantastic. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Finally, last but not least, Miss Allison Pyron.
Hi, folks. Yeah, so John's wife, I am actually handling the assessment side of our business. And so as we bring clients on, I will be giving them their assessments and debriefing them, but I'm also starting my own business in doing virtual assistant type work. So as businesses grow out there, there's a lot of things that business owners just don't want to do. They don't like doing it, and it gets pushed to the bottom. And so we've seen a lot of need for that. And customer service, outside sales, inside sales support is my background. And so it looks like a great opportunity to kind of open up that market for me. So so that's going to be my business adventure coming up.
Fantastic. And then Corey, well, he just bounced. So anyways, all right, this is going to be an exciting call. I mean, I've been dealing with all kinds of hiring decisions this week, finding the right resources. Depends on what state you're in as to whether you can find those resources or not. We were just having a discussion with a client earlier, and we're talking about hiring, and he's got to bring on a couple of employees, and so we're going to handle, actually, Allie's going to handle all the promotion and job ads and all that stuff. And we're going, well, how much are you going to pay? And he goes, well, I don't know. What's the minimum wage in California? And so I had to do the quick research. And I go, 13. I go, however, if you're unemployed, you're making 14. So, minimum. And the average is, I think, about 16, 17 bucks an hour if you're unemployed right now in California. It's just crazy. So we were talking about creative ways on recruiting and hiring talent. And this is about the fourth discussion I've had this week with various other clients, because a lot of people are growing right now. It's a really exciting time to be in business. If your business is not growing, definitely you should be on this call in the future. But the companies that are growing right now have figured out the sales job it's flipped. You got to sell that employee on why they need to come work for you. And so that job ad needs to be really nice and tight. It needs to really tell a story. It needs to be a pitch of why you're so great, why it's a great place to come to work for, why they should leave there, because the employees that you're looking for are probably employed. And so what's the pitch you're going to put out there that's going to entice them to leave? Now, if you're a business owner and you're on the live call or you're listening to the recording, you have employees, and your employees are productive or utilized at least 80% or more, and they show up on time. They very rarely call in sick. You sometimes have to remind them it's time to go home. Those are typically great employees, and that speaks to you as a leader that you pretty much own the relationship. You really don't have much to worry about. But if you're not hitting those metrics with your employees, you need to look yourself in the mirror as a business owner and go, what do I need to do to be a better leader, change the organizational culture, because you're at risk of losing your employee to another company right now. And but great employees, the ones that are just rocking it, they're pretty happy and they're going to stay right where they're at. But it's just like a client. If I want to take a client from a competitor, it's very simple. It doesn't matter what kind of contract they're under. Doesn't matter if they're under a 2-year contract, 3-year contract. There's always a loophole. It's like an attorney told me one time when I put a contract in front of him. He was asking me to coach him in his business, and he just kind of like, I put it in front of him. Within probably 5 seconds, he goes down to the bottom and he signs it and dates it, hands it back to him. I go, well, do you want to read it? And he goes, no, everything's negotiable in court. I go, okay. And it's been proven over and over again. So it's the person that owns the relationship that owns the clients, the person that has the relationship, and their employees are very, very happy that those employees typically stay. And so the assignment I gave my clients, I go, dude, you're less than 2 years old. They've grown from $6,000 a month to almost $80,000 a month in the last year and a half, almost 2 years. They're trying to hire their 7th employee. And so I said, why don't you go to your existing employees and ask them, hey, what do you like about working here? Okay. Give me three things that, give me 3 quotes of why you like to work here. And you're going to get those back. Pick the best 2 or 3 and add that to your job ad. Hey, here's what some other employees have said don't use their first name, about working here. And so you want to create a sales ad, basically, instead of a traditional job ad, and you're going to start attracting great talent. And this particular client's knocked it out of the park. They've done this from day one since I started working with them. Actually, 2 months after working with them, so after they started, they haven't lost a single employee. Their average utilization is 91.5%. And so they got a very great culture. And so that's kind of my tip for today. And we're going to get to some live Q&A here in a minute. Alan, what do you got? What kind of things on your mind today that you want to share with the audience?
Well, we've had a couple of interesting little quirks, at least technology-wise, with some prospects as well as some existing clients. Greg is on our front lines and probably, well, he always runs into oddball things. He's always throwing me ideas that he sees with things that he encounters in the field. But one thing that I ran across today that I found quite interesting was a prospect we have that's been serviced by the same IT company for years and years and years. And they've been doing it the same way for all this time, roughly 6 years. And went in there today and realized right out of the gate that the server that controls their wireless networks and their cameras is not even backed up at all. This is the main piece of their security infrastructure and their Wi-Fi infrastructure. And just to give you an idea, this is a facility that is, it's about 44,000 square feet. So we're not talking about a small office that, has a couple of cameras or Ring doorbells here and there. We're talking about a facility that, they've got gun equipment in there. They're very highly insured because of what they do. And within 5 or 10 minutes, just having a Q&A, that jumped off the plate at me. Now, another conversation, John, just happened about 30 minutes ago, where we support a dental practice that has been purchased by some sort of consortium. I don't know. And we called the gentleman who bought the practice, and basically he brings his own IT service in. Well, we just said, hey, we're all about smooth transitions. Sorry, we're going to lose out on the business, but we want to make sure that nothing is missed, because we provide HIPAA compliance, we provide cybersecurity insurance, we provide IT support, we provide network security, we provide all this. And the guy halts for a minute and he says, can you send me over what you have in there? Because there's a couple of things you mentioned I don't know that we're doing. And I have no idea why, or how many practices this guy has, but there are so many pitfalls in technology that if you're not talking to the right consultant, if you're not talking to the right people, you're leaving yourself exposed to either ransomware, a cybersecurity attack, a hard drive crash that results in catastrophic data loss. Dan knows I'm preaching to the choir here. You've got to engage with a professional, not a chuck in the truck, not a trunk slammer that you call when something goes wrong. If you have any business of any size, talk to somebody that knows where these pitfalls might lie, because you just never know. I mean, those are just two off the top of my head that may have massive problems, and we can fix them very quickly and easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's one of the things that I want to point out what you just said is like, whenever you have audience with your client, the more often you can have connection, conversation, a face-to-face conversation, a dialogue with your customer, the more questions you ask, the more opportunities present themselves. And so if you're selling to any business to business, any type of service, the one thing I learned a long time ago is once I've sold them on my services or my products, what else can they buy? Not just from me, but what else could they buy? What other problems or challenges do they have? And the difference between a contract and a contact is the relationship. And so the more you invest in your existing clients and helping them solve their business problems, because we're all business owners. And I coach, I don't know, thousands of business owners now, hundreds of people one-on-one, 85 and businesses across the board. And I can just tell you flat out, 85 to 90% of the problems are the same. It's that 10 to 15% that's unique to that business. And so, you know, if you have, regardless of what you're selling, regardless of what services you're providing, think about, okay, what other problems does my client have? You know, and you start having those conversations, and all of a sudden a light bulb goes on. It's like, we need that. Next thing you know, you got another sale. And it could be a sale from any of these people on this live call right now. You know, it's like Sid does comprehensive insurance for businesses. Well, guess what I do? I go after lots and lots of businesses all across the country, depending on the state that you're you're in California. So anybody pretty much in the state of California is a prospect for you, is a prospect for me. So now I know that I can go into any business and go, hey, who's handling your insurance? You know, when's the last time you had a second opinion of that? You know, I've just met a guy named Sid. He does insurance. Yeah. And so you want to look at those angles to joint venture and ask more and more problem questions to your customer, because the opportunity is in the problem. The bigger the problem you solve, the more money you make, the more happy and satisfied your client is. So good stuff, man. Good stuff. So here's where we're at this call. It's a mastermind call. So you got myself. I've been in business about 31 years. You got Alan. You've been in business about 25 years. Dan's been in business forever, since the beginning of, I think, sliced bread, I think. Greg's a business owner. Sid's a business owner. Allison's a business owner. So we're able to bounce ideas off of one another. So who would like to go first? Who has a challenge, a business problem, business opportunity that you would like to mastermind with this group about? Raise your hand. If not, we'll just keep talking. And if everybody's muted, so don't make me call on you. Let's talk to Greg.
All right. So, you know, we've been developing our business. You know, we've had our business plan and our business model, and we got it pretty nailed down. But we are set to go to market July 6th. It's a Tuesday. We're having our, you know, official launch. You know, as far as problems or challenges, you know, it's been pretty quiet, because, you know, we got some real superstars on our team. Obviously, Woody's on our Alan's on our team. You know, helping us get to market, and so right now we have representatives in 3 countries, 4 states. So we got our teams pretty solid. But we, you know, one of the things I guess that we might need some help on is streamlining communication between the different departments. You know, so we have sales and marketing on one side, and then we have the tech staff on the other. And we communicate well as human beings, but there seems to be just a flood of information going back and forth, and sometimes things get missed. So to get those two pieces working together, sales and service have always fought. You know, sales over promises, and services, we can't do that. And so here I am in the middle. But like I said, we have a pretty awesome team of professionals that we're able to work together, and we're, you know, really, really good friends at this point. But streamlining that communication between what the salespeople need and what the tech staff needs, we're trying to have a little disconnect there, and that's I don't think it'll delay our start, but we're fastly approaching the go no go date, you know, which is the 20th of June. So
yeah. What kind of have you done any type of assessments on the people on your team? Any type of assessments like a DISC or driving forces? DISC is about behavior and communication. Have you done any type of those assessments?
No, no, we haven't. You know, we all be kind of running, you know, like mad people, you know, just trying to get stuff done. And so do we need to slow down and yeah, and kind of see what's the best fit for everybody. But kind of, you know, running on, a lot of them are just running on hot caffeine and adrenaline sometimes, because they're running their current businesses while we launch. And so, you know, I was on a call last night at midnight. Well, it wasn't midnight for us, but the guys in Israel, you know, and we have some guys in Norway. So it was 11 o'clock in Norway, midnight but so we gotta have a committed team. But yeah, I guess at some point we should probably do some assessments and see, you know.
Let me kind of give you everybody an example of what I'm talking about here. I discovered this at a company back in 2006 that had 12 employees, and I couldn't understand why the productivity was so low, why, you know, the company wasn't as productive when I was there. I had to be there in order for it to be productive. And then this guy, Phil Bristol, came in and did these assessments on us and explained why. And he's like, well, first of all, he told me I was a jerk as the owner. That was the first thing he said. and so I started paying attention. I mean, 90% of the problem is the owner most of the time anyways. But the thing I like about this assessment right here is it gives us, let me scroll down here, gives us a complete behavior characteristic of the person. But I think the thing that is most important, that I've seen the most value, not only in the companies I have built, but the companies I've consulted, here's the ways to communicate specifically to this person. And here's what not to do. You know, just these two sheets. Now, this assessment right here is about 65 pages long, but out of the entire 65 pages, if I can just get the employees that work together to understand who they're communicating to, what language that person needs to be communicated in, and get them educated, what I've seen magically happen in cultures is communication improves, results increase, the culture is a whole lot more happy, and just running something like this on them. And so, and there's a lot of providers out there. We do it. TTI is an assessment company that's been around since the 50s. That's the company I use. But running something like this will give you those sheets. It's like, here's how you communicate to Greg. You know, here's how you communicate to Alan. If you want to approach Alan and you want to communicate with him and you want to get your way, right, or you want to connect with him and motivate him, this is exactly what you need to do. This is how he needs to be approached, and this is how he does not need to be approached. And so, you know, something like that you can add. I think it takes an employee about 30 minutes to take that assessment, but the feedback it gives you is incredible. So,
yeah, because
I recommend you do something like that.
Yeah, I have to talk differently to our CPA accountant than I do the technical staff, and then the salespeople. I kind of do it instinctually, but it's, you know, not everybody, you know, so the programmers want to talk to want to talk to the accountant as a programmer. Mm-hmm. Not gonna make any sense. So yeah, you're spot on. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we did this. We did this assessment. Buddy of mine, he's been with the same job for 21 years, and they decided to outsource all their technical stuff overseas. So he ended up losing his job. So now he's out job hunting. And so I'm like, hey man, you should do this assessment and attach this to your resume. So I sent it to him, and then my wife reminded me, hey, Amy, his girlfriend, did the assessment. So we put them side by side, and we're like, oh my God, completely opposite. And so 100% opposite. It was incredible, which is a good, you know, could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. It just depends. But Now, those two have, here's how we need to communicate. And oh, by the way, when he is actually excited, he will never let you know. Like, you will not be able to see it on his face at all. He is a pure analytical engineer. He could be as excited as excited can be. Hey, are you excited? Yeah, you should notify your face. But it's understanding the other person's behavior not only helps employees in their culture, but giving them and putting them through that kind of training. There's a crap ton of training out there on the web on this type of stuff, and communication increases the customer satisfaction as well. Because if you can identify the personality type a customer has just by their voice and quickly adapt to their behavior, your close ratios go way up, your customer satisfaction rates go way up. So definitely when it comes to any type of communication issue with culture, I always look at, have I trained them on how to communicate with one another? Have I given them the tools? And then finally, hey, are there processes or systems problems? So just, that's my 2 cents on it. Anybody else have any feedback for Greg? Nope. Okay. Who would like to go next? First of all, did I answer your question? Did I help you out?
Oh yeah,
Greg?
absolutely.
Help
Yeah,
you out?
it's absolutely. It's important to understand, and give people the opportunity to say, hey, look, I need to realize that I can't talk this way to that type of person, and having an assessment like that would actually, solidify that in their minds and make them a little more conscious of when they're talking to anyone, about how they process information, and understand that not everybody processes information the same way.
Sure. Cool. All right. Who's next? Who would like to go next?
I'll go next. So with this VA stuff that I have going on, I have some business owners here. So my question to you guys would be, for somebody starting a VA type business, what would you see a VA being a benefit to for your business? Ooh, did I stump everyone? You guys are kind of quiet.
What is a VA business? Help me out.
So virtual assistant.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Veterans Affairs. I'm like, I don't know. Go back to being a veteran then.
I love it.
So I would make a suggestion, and it's a very broad suggestion, but I know that when I was starting out, the first 5.5 years of my business was just me, and I had no business background. I was a tech who was basically growing organically, wildly out of control, to be honest. I hung out my shingle in '98, and by 2003, I had 500 or so mostly active clients just by myself. And the days grew very, very long, and it started to affect my health. And one thing that I had a major, major challenge with at that time was money management, because I had the best intentions in the world. But when I would pull a 12-hour day for 5 days in a row, I knew very well that I was leaking time. I'd get up that morning and head out, and like, when I'm done for the day, I'm going to catch up on invoicing. And when I got home, it was just down. There was, and this would go on for days. And for those who are just starting out, they may not believe this, but man, if you don't enter time on the day that you do the work, you're going to leak. I would bet you're going to leak 25 to 30% of billable time, and that's just absolutely massive. And so I wouldn't say I want to delegate a VA to do my invoicing or be essentially just bookkeeping duties. But if I had to do it over again, and I had a VA, or I even knew about the concept of a VA in 2000, 2001, I would say money management. whatever that means, whether it means, downloading the bank feeds into QuickBooks, checking the balances, making sure invoicing is current, calling late payers. I don't really care what shape that takes, because at the end of the day, if you've got cash flow problems, that's going to affect everything else you do. Whether it's just you, or whether you have staff, or whether you're trying to pay rent, or whether you're trying to pay commissions, that is the backbone. And that's where I would start.
Yeah. What what I would do, and I uploaded these files in the chat window so you guys can have these for free. But every time I look to, okay, should I outsource to a VA, virtual assistant? Should I delegate it to an employee? Should I automate it? I go through this exercise. And so let me get my screen set up here where I can share it. Boom, boom, boom. And here we go. And minus. All right. So these files are in there for you guys to use. They're templates. I just did this exercise, which kind of launched her business. I'm like, well, crap, I got to find somebody to fill this client's needs. I might as well leverage my wife. Yeah, sure. Why not, right? So, because she's got the skill set. So let me share my screen here. So this is the bottom line of it, is what I tell business, and I do this myself at least twice a year, is list out the business tasks that you do. And you can also have your employees do this as well. List out the business tasks that you do, how much time per week you spend on it. A checkbox will go in either one of these columns. Do you like to do that? Or wait, do you not like to do it and you're not great at it? Put a checkbox there. Do you like to do it, and are you great at it? And you should be doing it because you're the owner or that person, whoever's doing it. And then ask yourself, can this task be delegated, automated, or outsourced? By the time you're done with this, and this is going to be one of those things you just do, like I've been doing this for well over 10 years now, and it's helped me be way more productive. But ultimately what happens is now you can look at that list and you can sort it based off of time and go, man, if I can grab those 10 hours back, what else could I do with those 10 hours? And so I had a client of mine who we've been working with together now for, I think, 2 years. And, he's getting maxed. I mean, we started working together, and he was doing 120 grand 2 years ago, a year, and he's coming in right around 750 this year, and he still hasn't hired an employee. I'm like, dude, you're going to freaking give yourself a heart attack. He goes, I think I'm ready, man. I was like, yeah, you're ready. And so I had him do this exercise, and he sent it to me, and pretty much about 20 hours of his week could be done by somebody else. And so question now is, do we hire an employee? Well, or do we hire a virtual assistant? Well, depends. Like if you're in the state of California and you have an employee or if you have anybody that works for you that you make money off of, they have to be an employee. That's just a California thing. But everywhere else in the United States, you can have a virtual assistant do most of these work. And so we identified 20 hours of his week that he's going to get back because he's going to outsource it to a virtual assistant. And so all I did is I took that list, I gave it to her, and I can give it to any virtual assistant, any assistant, whatever, and take that stuff off of his plate. So that's what I would give you the feedback on virtual assistant. For us business owners, I would constantly do this with your employees. Constantly evaluate. I have a client up in Reading, 12 employees, and when we did this exercise, we discovered that this person, actually there was two people, are doing work that they have no business doing. It's not in their skill set. They don't like to do it. They hate it. They're just not productive with it. And so we took those tasks, reassigned it to a couple of other people, and sad for them, good for us, is one of them had to go. One of them were like, we can't find another spot for you here. You're going to have to go. And, but now that culture is way more productive than they ever have been, and they got that skill set. So I put those files in the chat window, definitely download them. It's a great exercise. Been using it for years. That's how I make those hiring decisions. Should I hire? Should I outsource? Should I delegate? Should I automate? So hopefully that's helpful for you. Anybody else have any feedback for Allison? You're on. Now he's not. Go ahead, Greg.
I'm
Sid.
sorry.
Oh, me? Okay. I thought Sid was going to talk. All right. So, what is the dynamics of your business now? Is it just you and John?
Well, so currently it is me, but I have the potential of bringing on an additional person.
Okay.
So I kind of have her waiting to see if I'm going to need her, which I might, but potentially right now there could be two of us.
Okay. So this is just 30 years of business building in my history, and it's totally controversial, and maybe none of you guys will agree. But and what we did here, I quickly identified my goal, identify 7 to 10 key people that buy my vision, buy my dream, sell them that dream, and they will walk through walls for you and your business without a dime because they see the vision. Does that make sense? But you got to you got to have enough margin so that everybody wins.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're paying our sales team 25% right out of the gate, which is pretty high for what we do. Mm-hmm. They're going to be happy. And our engineers are they're contributing their time because they see the value. So if you had 7 to 10 people that you can train to do what you do while they still are making money at the job, right? But they see the vision of someday being able to do what you and John and everybody else does. These people would literally walk through fire and walls and Tonka trucks or whatever to make your vision come true. Why? Because they can see themselves in it. You're not selling a job, you're selling an opportunity. So you're selling them, you're not selling a product or service, you're giving them a chance to be somebody. And you say, look, I am going on this journey and I want you to come with me. But you got to understand where we're going and what it's going to take to get there. And we're all going to suffer through the wilderness together. But when we get there, it's going to be the promised land. And I'm not preaching, but you guys understand, right? So
yeah.
That's what I have done for years. And this is what we just did now to launch Mouse Calls in Chattanooga and say, we're going to Disney. I'm loading the van. And who's coming with me? And I'm telling you, ask Woody. So, do you guys know him as Woody? He's Woody.
We do now.
There was three Allens in our call last night. It was like maddening, right? So Alan's like, just call me Woody. All right. So, but the talent that we've attracted is unbelievable. Because guess what? Everybody hates their job. Nobody wants a daggum job. You know, they've been promised this. You know, hey, if you go to college, you're gonna get. You know, the world owes you a living. It doesn't work anymore, right? So, but if you say, listen, I can't pay you anything right now, but when we get there, we might be the next Google. And the guy the janitor at Google, now is a multimillionaire. So your ability to sell that vision, sell that hope, sell that dream to them, but it's got to be totally internalized and crystallized in your mind and heart. And you say, we're going to do this together. And you provide the power and the empowerment for them to go on this trek with you. And I guarantee you, it insulates you from failure. You can't quit on your friend.
Right.
All right. So, so all of a sudden, when you don't feel like doing it anymore, and they're kicking you in the butt, hey, what about this? What are we doing with this? It's where are you gonna go? You can't hide now. These are your best friends.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So that's all I have to say. I'm sorry.
That's great.
Awesome.
Tangent.
Awesome.
Sid, I think had something.
Yeah, the other thing I would add, John and Allie, is we have customer service things that take us, when you're out calling on clients and stuff, that really can, we can train people on how to do it. But But it's timely and stuff, and it needs to be done, with a caring heart and so forth. So I would say, you asked originally, what kind of things do you need to be provided out there? But I would say, in the businesses I've been in, customer service is always a key issue. So.
Yeah, I've learned that that's ultimately your face of your business.
Yeah.
They are going to have the most interaction with your clients, with any end user out there. And so I think that is a key part of anybody's team is, how are they going to be serviced? And it could be just a simple 5-minute phone call, or it could be a difficult situation. But I think, having that as your foundation, I think is huge. And so, and with as many people have so many jobs that they're doing as a business owner, that's where some of that stuff can get lost. And those relationships that drive the business, that's where I think that customer service comes in.
So we hear all the time, great customer service. We provide great customer service. So why don't we go around? Let's start with you, Ali, since I know you have a tremendous background in customer service. But share, let's for the sake of time, share one great customer service tip that everybody can benefit from.
Know your clients. When I was making calls and developing relationships, I got to know my clients on a first name basis. I got to know their voice. It wasn't, I was doing a lot of interpersonal type sales. And so I knew voice. I knew more about their business and also about their personal life, to where they weren't just somebody who I was trying to sell to. And that's how I built a lot of my business is just developing relationships. So when they would call, I could say, "Hey, Dan, how was your vacation?" And I would spend probably 10 minutes talking to them personally and about 5 minutes on business, but it built a relationship to be able to have that. So to me, build that strong relationship with your client.
Good point.
Fantastic. Sid, what do you got? What's a great customer service tip?
Well, along the same line, I mean, I have clients that have claims, and they need to feel like we care about them, and that, and not that like we're acting like we care, but, genuine care, and sort of like Ali said, getting to know them a little bit about what they're about, so that when they're talking about a claim for a child or something like that, that, it really comes across that we're there to help them, and not just acting like it, but following through on everything you say you're going to do. So.
That follow through is key, man. I tell you what, follow through on everything that you say you're going to do is absolutely key. And you can all probably identify at some point you need to have certain systems in place for follow up. And there's only so much that you can carry around in here, and so every now and then it's good to reevaluate your system. So great tip for sure. Thank you. Greg, what do you got? Best customer service tip.
Strive for a one-call resolution, giving people the empowering your team to take ownership of the call. Somebody calls in for whatever reason, that they can either just handle it start to finish, whether they have to pull in other team members. But if you strive for that one call resolution, I think that would set you above and beyond everybody else.
That's huge. That is huge, because how many times we called customer support for you name the product or service, and it's like, you know what, you got the wrong department, let me get back to you, or you know what, let me talk to Joe and I'll get back to you. Let me do this, and one of the things that you pointed out, which I find is extremely important. And you notice these companies that are great because they do exactly what you just said, is they empower their people to act like the owner. You know, they empower their people to be owners within the business. Like, hey, if a customer calls in with a problem, it's your problem. You take it from start to finish. And I know several companies, my own mentor, Grant Cardone, you call up his company, you don't care who answers the phone. You have a problem, that person takes that problem and they deal with it from start to finish, even though they're probably not on the back end solving the problem, but they're the only ones you're going to hear from a communication standpoint about the problem. And so great idea for sure. Dan.
Well, I've never been in a customer service position directly, as that's my responsibility. I've always been in either product development or management. But my goal, everything I've always told people that work under me, everything we developed, all the services we provide has always been geared around exceeding expectations. Always go that one step further. That makes it, that gives that customer that, wow, you really, that was awesome. You know, that's that they're paying for your service, they're paying for your product, and they expect, you know, X because that's what you sold them. But if you can go X plus, you're always going to get that customer. You're going to have that customer for life. I mean, unless you screwed up somewhere else. But always exceeding expectations. That's my mantra.
Awesome. Woody.
So I learned this in the early 90s when I was a bartender, and I carried it into my business the best I can. And I still try to look at ways to implement it, but small touches, small meaningful touches, contact with the customer, with the client, that maybe they were never even expecting or came out of left field or they never even thought about. The best example I can give you, and I don't know how many times I did this, and it seemed like nothing, but tending bar, let's just imagine for a second, you're sitting at a bar, John and Allie, you're sitting at a bar having a cocktail, right? And it's a decent little spot. Maybe it's not the Ritz-Carlton, but it's not Joe's Diner either. And it's, you've never been here before, but the bartender walks by as maybe, the second drink is at about half level. And he stops and he takes your glasses off of the napkins, pulls the wet napkins, puts down new napkins, and salts the napkins before he puts your glasses back on. Why does he salt the napkins? So the glass won't stick to the napkin. I would pay $100 if I had any idea how much money I made by doing that. That small thing. And one thing that we always do, and I always try to build this into the culture, and I've had success and I've failed in it as well. And I've hired people that just simply could not get the concept, but meaningful little things, if you do them, then people will respond. Another example of this is when we were focused some years ago, we had a service center, a computer repair service center that had high traffic. We were on a main artery going in and out of our area of town. And we would get anywhere from 3 to 8 jobs a day going through there. Before we would release the repaired computer, we would put a piece of tissue paper inside between the keyboard and the screen. And then we would wipe the exterior. We would spray a cloth and wipe the exterior with Febreze. Now, this did not create a big, heavy perfume scent. Nobody went, "Oh God, what did you do to my laptop?" But when you handed it back to them, even if it was subliminal, hey, this is not the same device that I brought in here. It's cleaner. It smells better. Obviously, it's been well kept and well cared for. These things that may not even be at the top of people's minds, or maybe they don't notice it immediately, but that takes the form as well as the cybersecurity alerts that we send out, whether it's a virus or the most recent one I think was about an Apple update that was pretty urgent that people do. Our client base perceives those as public service announcements. Their marketing touches is what they really are. And they're, hey, we're trying to keep you safe. But I don't know how many times we get people go, oh my gosh, thank you. People just respond to them going, thank you, thank you, thank you for being on top of this for us. So a lot of times it's the little things that you do that maybe they've never seen before. Maybe they would have never done that for themselves. Maybe they've never thought about it. Or there's like we're coming back to this bar because that bartender had the wherewithal to just do that little thing, salting our napkins, and made us feel special, made us feel attended to. And so we're gonna be back here. We're gonna give them repeat business. And oh, by the way, bartender, what's your name again? We want to come on a night that you're working. That's it.
Yeah, it's you hit a great point. It's the small things that make the big difference. I'll never forget. I was in a restaurant. It was the Hooters on Arden Way in Sacramento, and the waitress put the salt on the napkin before she set my beer down. I'm like, what did you do? And she told me, and I'm like, I have never had another waiter, another waitress, another bartender do that ever. But I still remember that one moment, and so it's very memorable. So kind of it's the little things that we do for our customers. I think probably for me, the number one customer service tip that I would have would be as an owner, I constantly am evaluating what are my weaknesses and either outsourcing or delegating those weaknesses. If I try to operate in an area that's outside of my zone of genius, I'm not doing my customer any service. And so I need to find people that are better than me to fill in those gaps. Otherwise, if I just think that I'm going to be the end all be all, and I see this mistake happen over and over and over again, typically with business owners that it's their first business. They've never built it to any, they haven't gotten it to a very significant level. And it's because nobody in my company can do it as great as me, and that's not the truth. Everybody has strengths. Everybody has weaknesses. I know for a fact that in my business, if I have a customer service issue, I am 100% better off engaging them with my wife versus them talking to me. Okay. She is far better skilled in that area than I am. And so, so that would be the one tip that I would have is constantly evaluate your people, their strengths, their weaknesses, give them more of the work that they're great at and minimize the stuff that they're not great at. So much easier to maximize a strength than it is to change a weakness. And so that would be my tip today as well. We've got a couple of minutes left. Does anybody else have a business problem, challenge, opportunity, anything else you'd like to go over today? Nope. Okay. Been a great call. This call's been streamed live on YouTube, and so it's available right after we hang up the call. You can always go to johnpyron.com, click on complimentary videos, and it's there as well. Also, join the 10x Mastermind Call. It's a podcast channel, and so I highly recommend you subscribe to that as well. I think we're on episode 120 now, so it goes way back. There's lots of content there for free. So go out and make it happen. I hope everybody have a what? Go ahead.
John, what was the name of the podcast again?
It is 10x Mastermind Call. And let me verify that because we just changed that name. And so let me double check the name of the show. Yeah, 10x Mastermind Call. It's on iTunes. We're putting it up on Stitcher, but it's out there. Just look that up on in your favorite podcast app, and you'll be able to get that. But I think we're up to 120 episodes now, or something like that. So a lot of great content over there.
Yep. All right, guys. Make it happen. If you got a lot of value out of today, please comment on the YouTube video and share with the people that you like the most. Have a great week, guys.